I'm going to tell you about the most challenging day of my life. But first, I gotta apologize. I know, it's been a long time since I've done a long form video, but for very good reasons. First, we've had to do an entire house move. Years ago, I read somewhere that moving house is one of the most stressful things you can do in your life. And at 31 years old, so far, I have done it 28 times. And I can confirm it is very stressful. Then, my parents arrived to visit from the UK. There they are. Hi Mum. Hi Dad.
The milkers are coming!
And then, after all of that, as if there wasn't enough going on, Dad decided to browse the New Zealand healthcare service. Let's call it healthcare tourism. Opting to really test their services with open heart surgery. It has been a challenging time.
Oh, thank you, George. A nice cup of tea.
A lot of you gorgeous human beings have been reaching out, asking questions, just trying to find out as much as they can. So today, I thought I would share my diagnosis story. For those of you that don't know me, my name is George. Hi, I was recently diagnosed with brain cancer. Instead of freaking out and hiding in a corner crying, I am now on a mission to document my experience. So if health, lifestyle hacks, mindset hacks is your jam, I am creating a tribe. Come along for the ride. I was baking cookies for a competition, covered in flour, and the next thing I know, it was like my brain had slapped me around the face. And within 5 hours, I went from cookies to cancer. There was no warning, no clues, just wow. Let's rewind a bit. Before all of this madness, life was epic. Working as a guide in New Zealand, beautiful forests, beautiful landscapes, living the absolute dream. And sure, there were a few warning signs. The odd headache, I had some weird neck pain. But who doesn't get those? It's August 7th, 2024, about 8 p.m. And I am at home baking cookies for a work cookie competition, obviously in it to win it. And as I'm working, stirring the bowl, boom, one of these weird seizure things hit me. And I end up on the kitchen floor, dizzy, numb left side, a little bit unsure what's going on. I call my partner, Annalise, and I'm like, hey, Bob, so this thing's happened. I'm on the kitchen floor. I feel very numb and dizzy. There's ringing in my ears. Should I keep baking or what? And she's like, I'm coming to get you. We're going to hospital. And I actually said on the phone, Can I finish my cookies first? I was so invested in the competition. Yeah, cookies. That's where my brain was at that specific point, which ironically wasn't working properly. We went straight to A&E. And at first they thought I might be having a stroke, TIA, some weird thing going on. They weren't entirely sure, so they took my bloods. And then they decided, hey, something's not right, we're going to wheel you in for a CT scan. And I was joking away, so the team taking me in. Went in to have my CT, and the moment I got picked up by the same crew, I could tell that something wasn't quite right. There was a change in their faces and how they were acting with me. And I got rolled back to my room. They pulled me out again, and this time it was for an MRI scan. And they said, we want to use some contrast. We want to just make sure that we get the clearest images possible. Don't worry too much. So they put me through the MRI, and I'm wheeled back out into my room. and I waited and waited with Annalise. A few hours later, a doctor came in, who's now actually a very good friend of ours, and he looked me in the eyes and he said, so we found something. We're not exactly sure what it is, but we think it might be brain cancer. We think it might be glioblastoma. And I just broke down. I just broke down into floods of tears. Annalise was crying. I was crying. I've never cried like that in my life. And I was in shock. And I kept asking, like, why me? I would say I've been a very health conscious person for most of my life. I just couldn't keep up with it. It was happening so quickly. There was no real indication. There was no clue to having something like this going on. And that was the night that everything changed for me. But it wasn't the end. It was actually the start of the biggest challenge of my life. But it was also a blessing. That is a very brief overview of the cancer diagnosis. The idea of this video is partially for me to be able to park that episode of my life. The past is gone, there's no point in focusing too much on that. The future, who knows what that holds? Nobody does. All we really have is right here, right now. In the next video, I'll show you what happened after. How I built a positive mindset, how I found new strength, how I started to live my life as though I kind of actually meant it.